Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more to reach the professionals who are more likely to find your ad relevant. Plus, with 1 billion members on LinkedIn, that means you'll have access to 130 million decision makers and 10 million C-level executives. That's a lot of millions of the right people. Get started today and see how you can reach the right buyers with LinkedIn's enhanced targeting tools. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Dr. Jen Ashton, your host for Season 2 of The Visibility Gap, a podcast presented by Cigna Healthcare. Throughout this season, we'll be tackling something vital, the women's health gap. We'll hear from real people and experts as we unpack important topics like maternal health, menopause, and heart disease. Listen in and download the new season wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the Space Marketing Podcast, where we look at marketing principles, strategies, and tactics through the lens of space. Hi, I am your host, Izzy House. And today I have got a special episode for you. I am here with Miss Dee Dassen, co-creator of my new children's book about moon trees. So lift off in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Space Marketing Podcast. Information relating to our discussion today and links to the video version can be found in the episode show notes on spacemarketingpodcast.com. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. It will help more people reach beyond the atmosphere. Information in this episode is for entertainment and information only. Please consult a professional for your specific situation. My dear space peeps, thank you so much for being here to share this special episode with us. It's kind of our book launch, and I'm really excited to share it with you, my spacey friends. So our new book is Izzy and Dee, The Moon Trees, and there's a companion passport that you can track your moon tree visits as well. So what's a moon tree, you might ask? Well, moon trees are a real thing. During the Apollo 14 mission, Stuart Roosa, a smoke jumper who fought wildfires, was an astronaut, and he carried tree seeds around the moon on his mission. When he returned, these seeds were planted. Decades passed, and these trees were forgotten until recently. Dr. Williams from NASA Goddard started a website to find where these trees were planted, and he has been able to catalog about 67 that are still alive. There are some new moon trees as well. In homage to the Apollo 14 trees, Artemis 1 had some tree seeds that it carried around the moon in 2022. These moon trees are in their third year of planting. So this new book, and I'm going to show you a cover real quick. This new moon tree book is written by me, and it is illustrated by Miss Dee Dassen. She is an author and an artist, and she is the co-creator of this book. But more importantly, she is my sister. And Miss Dee Dassen, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you.
She has been very supportive of my journey to space, and now she has her own space journey with her children's books. We both come from a very creative upbringing, and art was the core building block of our childhood and has been the core of our lives. Tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
My name is Miss Dee Dassen. And I am a tattoo artist at my family's tattoo business.
And she said family because I am the odd child out. I grew up with very creative parents, and I am the nerdy one. I'm the different one in the family. So, but I have been very proud of what my family has done. They have been renowned all over the world. In fact, when I lived over in Britain, I was down in the Soho district and I found a book with my mother and my sister in it as women who tattoo. And so you were quite, and you still are pretty popular in your field. Children's books is a pretty big departure, but to the average person, it looks like you've completely changed into a different thing. But as a sister that grew up with you, I know you've been doing cartoons and illustrations like this for a long time. In fact, you are just as good as Jim Davis at doing Garfield as Jim Davis was.
Thank you. I had to learn at an early age what stealing art was and what forgery was. Our mother taught us very quickly you can't charge for that and sign his name. So yeah, definitely learned quick in life. But I do love that avenue of animation. I think that children's books and children's lives have become so complicated that they need to have something to just lighten up and be a kid. And I every kid I've ever worked with was somebody's child at one point, and people are all the same, and children just want to be kids. So I think I want to contribute to the world that way.
So let's set the stage on how this story about the moon trees began. Alice Caruth from T-Minus Space Daily and I were talking last fall, and she told me the story about the moon trees and what Dr. Williams was doing to locate them. Now, she is on the board for La Cruces, New Mexico, and they are having an Artemis tree due to unveil here soon as a big part of her effort. And when she told me about this story, right after I got off the phone with her, I called you because you had been starting to do children's books. And tell us what happened next after I called you and told you the story about the moon trees.
Well, as soon as I hung up the phone, I Googled it and learned about moon trees and where they were. And being that that's around the generation that we were born, so it was really important. Like instantly, it took me back to our childhood. And I did some research on it, and then I started to draw pictures of two little girls and the tree, the rocket that they would make. And by the end of the week, they had about 15 different outfits, and I was just waiting for you to write. I had already started way into it. Yeah. What a great idea.
She hit the ground running, and I was desperate to keep up. So we had the idea of the story that's how you were able to do the illustrations, but it took a little bit to write. And when you think about it, we've already just launched it, and it was last fall that we started. So it was pretty quick, and it wasn't just one book. It was 2 books because you had so many illustrations. I'm like, something else. We need to do something else with the illustrations that we're not using. So I came up with the idea, and then we created the companion guide, which I'm showing you, the listeners. And this is for your moon tree visit. So it's got a lot of worksheets in it for your little adventure. So let's talk about these little adventures.
And we already did one. So we went to the Goddard Space Center and saw our moon tree in Greenbelt, Maryland. Amazing experience with Dr. David.
Yeah, David Williams. And, he told us a story about how he started cataloging these moon trees. About a year into it, somebody contacted him and said, "What about the Goddard moon tree?" He went to Goddard every day and didn't know that Goddard had a moon tree. So that's how missing these trees, how they just lost track. The reason that they started to find these moon trees or even look for them was this Girl Scout contacted NASA. And she said, I'm at a Girl Scout camp and there's a tree there and it has a plaque and it says it's a moon tree. She says, "What is it?" And nobody could tell her. So they started researching it and, lo and behold, the story of the moon trees came out. Dr. David Williams, he started a website so that if you know where one is, you can contact him and let him know. In this story, it's Izzy and Dee. Obviously, Miss Dee Dassen and Izzy House, we're named after the two little girls.
It's
And
totally
do you want
hot.
to? Yes. And it's just, that's how it worked. And one has pink hair, one has purple hair. And these two little girls are adventuresome. They're budding engineers, though I have a mission to try to inspire more young engineers. And that's by showing little ones how they can be engineers. Whenever you look up in the internet engineering, the first thing you see is science and math. Well, there are a lot of people that have not gone into engineering because they, quote unquote, weren't good at science and math. Do you need to know science in order to do a Alka-Seltzer bottle rocket? No, you discover the science. So these little girls are discovering science. They're discovering engineering things, but they don't need the math and the science to discover how to solve a problem. That's kind of a core to what these girls do, is they use their imagination, they use their skills, and they create their travels. So you want to tell us a little bit about the journey that these little girls go on?
Well, they also utilize what's around them, which is definitely something as a whole that humanity needs to do, is use everything that's around them already instead of just creating more new waste. The journey starts with two little girls whose parents bring them a tree home. And on this tree is a little map. And on the map is a map of moon trees with a story about them. They decide that they need to build a rocket out of their little red and yellow pedal car and travel to all these moon trees in all their locations around the country.
In their imagination. Yeah, in their
In
imagination.
their imagination.
Yeah.
It's a pedal car, not a rocket. But a broom doesn't make a rocket. But they do. They go on a deep adventure and they learn about these trees. They go to the library and find out things, and they Google things, and they use their imagination to find these trees and meet people along the way. Imaginary, of course.
So there's some magic words that these little girls use in order to transport them from one of the species of trees to the next location. And it is moon trees, moon trees.
How tall will you grow?
Moon trees, moon trees.
Where did you go?
And that takes them through a little warp and they go to a new location. And then they learn all about the species of tree of where they go, which the U.S. Forest Service was really important in the Apollo mission as well as the Artemis mission. So there's two different missions that we're talking about. So the Apollo missions are the ones that got lost, that people forgot about. But in 2022, the Artemis 1 mission that went around the moon, it also took moon trees in homage to the Apollo program. So right now they're planting those. It is a 3-year journey for the plantings, and they're in their 3rd year now. Now we also have a companion guide. So when you visit the moon trees like what we did, you have an activity that you can do with your child. We created stickers that were able to go into this book, and I went nuts with the stickers because that was now my tree, and the Goddard tree is very special. It's a sycamore tree, and it is right next to the store, the little NASA shop.
Visitor center. It's right in front of the visitor center.
But right in front, and just really kind of, you got to look for it. It's a little plaque. But I got so excited about it. I knew that this was something that kids can get very excited about, and it connects the earth with space, which is a very important aspect too. And this is our second project that we worked on. Our first project together was Explore Space A to Z, and that was the first time we had done anything as a joint. But that wasn't your first children's book. And
No.
you wrote and illustrated several books, and starting last January, which I mean is kind of amazing to think that since last January when you launched your first book, this is number 7 and 8, I believe,
Yes.
of your books.
Yes, I illustrated one. I illustrated one in 2021 for one of my customers who had had children and wrote this story and needed an illustrator for it. So he suggested, and it was right after the lockdown. I had just learned how to draw on my iPad, and his brother suggested to ask me, and I was thrilled to do it. And that started me on a path to doing my very first book that was mine, which was Weird Animals A to Z. And I think that there are so many animals in the world that we don't even know about, as well as further out or deeper down in the ocean. And my books go to these places and tell you about the weirdest animals that you don't normally hear about. So A is not for apple. A is for aardwolf or axolotl, which are great little animals. So once I got that one finished, then I moved on to Space A to Z, and I created a character about 20 years ago with one of my friends called Scully and Boop. And it's about a little skeleton girl and her best friend Boop, a stuffed skeleton, that wind up waking up by accident in a museum in DC. We won't specifically say which one, but they need a ride home, and the museum curator gets them a ticket to go around the world to get home, with many layovers and many cultures to see. She got written last year. She has also had a second book. Her and her bestie Boop are now also part of the Cirque du Soleil and Boop. So that one just came out as well. So I've been on a journey. I have Weird Animals A to Z, Weirdest Animals A to Z, Space A to Z, and my Scully and Boop series, and now the Izzy and Dee series, with many more ideas to come.
Many more ideas. So Scully and Boop, they're preparing for their next adventure. You want to tell us, give us a little peek into the third adventure? So they start off going around the world. So it's about visiting France and, where are some other locations that they visit?
She goes to Texas, Mexico, Australia, Japan, France, England, South Africa, and then home to Egypt, where she is reunited with her parents. The second series is Cirque du Soleil, Scully and Boop. She falls asleep one night and dreams that she's in the circus, and she is wonderful at everything. She does everything perfect. So she wakes up in the morning and she looks at her bestie Boop and she says, I know what we can do today. Let's go join the circus. So they go to the Cirque, and she realizes that she is not good at everything. But that's okay, because she is good at some things. So she goes to live her dream and figures out it's a lot more work than she thought it was. But she lives it.
give us a little peek on the third book that is their adventure.
Oh, they get to go to summer camp. And summer camp, there are horses, and there might be a little rodeo going on. But yeah, they're going to summer camp, and they're going to work with animals and other children.
And Izzy and Dee are gearing up for another adventure as well. And they are going to visit all the planets.
And I heard something about building a rocket.
Yes, that's also another book
Rocket.
is Building a Rocket.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have quite a few adventures coming. But yeah, they're going to learn about our planets and our solar system.
And they're going to learn about how to read a ruler, which does not seem like it's that hard of a thing. But if you're a little person and you've never read a ruler, it's not usually something that they teach in school.
There are grown people that cannot measure.
Yes.
It is not as easy as you think.
Writing how to read a ruler is real interesting.
Yes.
Especially if you don't know fractions yet. How do you explain it?
We will find a way.
Yes. And that's one of the things that they discover is that engineering is about solving problems. But it is the tools, the science and the math that give you superpowers. And the more superpowers you get, the more more problems you can solve. So I'm very excited about that. Hold on to your boosters. We will be right back with Miss Dee Dassen after the briefest message from our sponsors. Please like and subscribe to the Space Marketing Podcast so you don't miss a thing. Also, look for the adventures of Izzy and Dee. Look for the book Izzy and Dee, The Moon Trees, and the Moon Tree Companion Guide on Amazon and Ingram Spark. Ask for it at your local bookstore. In the meantime, visit MissDeeDassen.com for more information.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more to reach the professionals who are more likely to find your ad relevant. Plus, with 1 billion members on LinkedIn, that means you'll have access to 130 million decision makers and 10 million C-level executives. That's a lot of millions of the right people. Get started today and see how you can reach the right buyers with LinkedIn's enhanced targeting tools. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
One of the things I want to touch on a little bit is your A to Z books. The weird animal and the weirdest animals. I got to tell you, the weirdest animals, well, number one, Weird Animals A to Z is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
You have a very distinct style that you draw these animals with that as you're going through, and they just are absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
The weirdest, it is gorgeous too in a different way, but the story that you wrote with it is really fun, and it is geared towards parents who are reading their children the books before they go to bed. So it's got a little bit of a quirkiness to it, and it's just really fun to read. It was, I think I'm impressed with all of them. I can't tell you how impressed I am, the ones you wrote in addition to illustrating. But that one in particular, I think is just, there's a charm to it that's very different. And I love that one.
I got more comfortable. I didn't have the confidence to write as much in the first book as the second book. The second book, my confidence came, and I did more research on each animal, and I found it harder and harder to condense it down to a short version because there's so many really cool things, and I learned so much. So I really enjoy the weird animals. They're fun
Yes,
to learn.
I did too. And the journey with us has been really, it's been important for us as sisters too, because we really haven't had any projects that we worked on before. And, you know, cause my sister, she would be getting mohawks with her husband while I was being very conservative. And so, you know, there wasn't many opportunities to cross over. So it's only been here recently that there was a bit of a challenge in that first book and getting it produced. So we were able to cross paths then, because that's been a big part of what I've done in my life. And
she rescued me.
well, and now we see each other more often than we ever have, and we laugh and we have fun, and it's just really good. It's just really good.
It's been a blessing.
It has been, for sure. And one of the things, okay, now let's talk the marketing thing for everybody that's out there, is that we market to children when we give them engineering ideas or colleges, and we help them choose an idea for a career. So that's kind of what that we're doing here, is we're trying to inspire a career. And one of the ways that, you know, we do that is by also providing avenues for them to get some products. So when, you know, there's stickers that you can put in your book when you're documenting your moon tree books, but there's also some other cool things, and I've gotten so excited about getting them. But there's pillows, and there's comforters, and there's backpacks, and there's cups, and
T-shirts and aprons for Dad so he can barbecue and at the parks.
It has this really cute sticker, and for those of you that can see on the video, I'm showing you a couple of pictures right now of the stickers. But it's the girls, and it talks about how I visited a moon tree, and we are building the stickers for each location. That's ultimately what we want to end up doing. That's a lot of stickers, by the way, but there's also some generic ones. If you know your location's not on there, then you can get one of the generic ones. But it's to
and just celebrate the actual breed of tree. Celebrate the sycamore or the loblolly pine, which is extremely fun to say, and the sweet gum tree, and the loblolly pine is my favorite to say. So there's so many trees that you can actually see. They don't have to be a moon tree to appreciate the trees that we have and what they're here for. Because just like weird animals, everything serves a purpose that's on this planet. We may not know what it's for, but we do know what trees are for. And they're very important.
Inside both books, there are websites of where you can find the moon trees. NASA has a website for the Artemis trees, and I'll have links in the show notes as well. And then there's also the website that Dr. Williams has created for the Apollo moon trees, and where those locations are. Now, a little quick disclaimer is that those are trees locations that people have submitted, and we can't guarantee that the tree is still there. So please double check.
Construction and nature, there's no guarantee, unfortunately.
If you're going to gear your vacation around visiting a moon tree, please check to make sure it's still there. Inside the companion guide, there's also some links about how to take care of a tree, how to be a good tree steward. That's part of the moon tree program with U.S. Forest Service. So that's in there as well. In the companion guide, there's also a list of the known Apollo trees, as well as a link to the Artemis trees, because there's about 1,000 of those, 500 or 1,000 of those. There's a lot of Artemis trees. So having those in the book, well, they're not even done planting them yet. In fact, this week I was sent a link to a news program about how they had a new moon tree planting unveiling in Huntsville. So I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
Go to Miss Dee Dassen to find out more about the Moontree books as well as the products. And so
Did
that
you
your
say
little
.com?
dreamer.
Did you
Oh,
say
sorry.
.com?
I did not say .com. So missddassen.com and find out more about the Scully and Boop adventures, the weirdest and weird animal adventures, as well as Izzy and Dee adventures. And there's links there to the store.
And subscribe, and we can send you a newsletter about up and coming books that are coming out, because there are more books coming.
Yes, as fast as we can. I mean, like I told you, we have been born into art, but Dee has really taken that on. When she gets inspired,
Yes.
she doesn't sleep. She
Yeah.
doesn't sleep. I thought I was hard to keep up with, but she's definitely hard to keep up with. And there are more stories swirling around that we just, there's not enough time in the day to do them all.
And I keep a list. I keep a list. One day they will be made.
One day soon.
Yes.
Yes, because that's just how we roll. Yeah, no moss grows under our feet, for sure.
No.
Any final thoughts or things that you want people to mull around in their head as they go throughout their day? And what do you want to inspire them with?
I want to inspire people to stop just for 5 minutes and smell the roses and look at the sky and appreciate the trees and the animals around us. I just want the world to stop being so fast that it's losing sight of the smallest things in life. And kids are also small things in life that really need a lot of growth. And I do believe that it does take a village to raise a child. And I'm trying to do my part and make good little people and good little human beings. It's about us and the nature. We all live in one big snow globe.
Yes.
So we have to actually take care of it ourselves. And I really do hope I inspire children to just stop for a minute and read with your parent and talk to your parents and go adventuring and go adventure with your parents. And if you're lucky enough to have siblings, go adventure with your siblings and learn about them and look up and just look at the people in front of you and have fun with them.
One of the things that we were fortunate enough in our childhood is that we grew up with books. We didn't have a lot of TV when we grew up, and we built things. The most fun that we had was in oatmeal containers. And in one of the pictures that we have, the girls are using what was an oatmeal container to do a space helmet. Now we know that is not possible on, that our heads are too big for that. But that was kind of how we did it. We made boxes into things, and we created cars, we created forts, we created all kinds of stuff growing up out of just cardboard. We had more fun with the cardboard than we did what was in it. And
we learned so much. We learned how to build a moat around a village. I mean, we dug trenches and filled it with water to see where it would go. That when you're little, it's called imagination. As you get older, you realize it's science. It's actually, you're learning how to solve problems, and you don't even know it. It's just fun. So yeah, we got to do a lot of that.
Yeah, we created little ponds and studied tadpoles and
crawdads.
Crawdads.
Pinchy crawdads. Boy, if I'd have known you could eat them back then, those pinchy little things, I'd have eaten them.
They would have been dinner. Yeah, they would have been a crab boil for sure.
But yeah, we had fun with everything, and we met everything in the world, every animal. And we've learned that you just don't bother them and they won't bother you. And Like now, I can feed my squirrels out front and they come right to me. This world is a wonderful place. And
It
without
is.
television, you actually have to look up and see it. And we had a blast. And we knew how to read long before we went to school. That was our escape and our imagination back then, was we read. And the library was the coolest place in town, literally and figuratively. So that's where we spent our summer, was in the library reading books and staying cool because it was hot.
Yeah, air conditioner was not something we had, but
No.
yeah, in fact, the Scully and Boop was kind of inspired by those summers at the library because during that time King Tut was
Yes.
becoming real popular, and we learned all about Egyptian stuff, and
Yes.
you know,
We went to see him, and he has
we
never been
did.
back. So we got to see something that has never been back. I've gone to many exhibits since, and he is never there. So we got to see him,
Yes, that
and
was
that was
exciting.
amazing. And that sparked more imagination. And we would look at the sky, and we would imagine going into space at night. We would look at all the stars, and we would go there. We'd see the Milky Way, and we just had visions in our head of the way things were. And there was nothing on earth that stopped us. We just had fun, and it was amazing.
And those experiences, decades later, have flavored what we do.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I would find pictures in clouds when I looked at the sky, and now I draw pictures that are in my head in the sky. So it is amazing how much you can really train yourself and to see things deeper than what they actually are.
And one of the things that's important that you have that hands-on experience, you have that what they call analog experience now, and because it helps you solve problems later on. You know, we do have a powerful thing in our hands with cell phones and with Google and with
Agreed.
AI, but you need to know what questions to ask for them to answer.
And besides that, experience gives you your other senses a journey. It's not just about your eyes and your brain. It's about smelling the place around you. It's about the taste of the salt in the air at the ocean. It's about so many more things that are touch that you don't get from a phone.
Yeah, you don't get, and like I said, you have to know what questions to ask in order to get those answers. And by
Yep.
experiencing them, you figure it out. By putting cardboard boxes together, you figure out what works and what doesn't, and what is physics and what is not, and what is
Yes.
imagination.
Yes. And you learn by pushing a rock down a hill that it goes really fast. That's called physics. People don't realize when you're just letting a rock go at the top of a hill or sledding down the top of a hill that it's actually physics at work. It's not just sledding down a hill. You're learning stuff and you don't even know it because it's fun.
Yes, learning is fun, and that is, I think, our biggest takeaway from how we grew up is that we had fun learning, and we still have fun learning.
Yes. Again, I am so amazed at how many things I learned about animals just writing those two books. I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of information that I learned that was fascinating. It was just fascinating. So yeah, I think kids will get into it. I mean, who doesn't want to learn about a big, giant, hot pink slug or a comet zooming by your planet or how important the sun and gravity and the moon and everything is. People, I think they want to teach their children, and children want to learn. So make it fun.
Make it fun. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
For everyone, not just for the kids.
A special thanks to Miss Dee Dassen for helping me share our journey to space. Please like and subscribe to the Space Marketing Podcast to help us get word out about this incredible industry of space. Join Izzy and Dee on their adventures with their first book, Izzy and Dee, the Moon Trees, and their Moon Tree Companion Guide. Also look for Miss Dee Dassen's other books on Amazon and Ingram Spark. Ask for them at your local bookstore. Visit MissDeeDassen.com for more information. I hope that you have found this podcast useful for your journey as you reach for the stars.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.